first episode of Sacred Plates. I hope you'll come back for each episode to explore cooking at home and the tips and the tools and all the things that I'd like to share with you about what it means to create meals for people that you love. The first part of today's episode, I'm just going to share a few of my favorite things with you. I could spend all day doing this, but I just picked a few that I want to make sure you're aware of at the very beginning. The first one I really couldn't bake or cook without, and it's a kitchen scale. I know, you've got measuring spoons and measuring cups and other ways to measure, but particularly in baking, precision is very important. These are not very expensive. You can get one at any Target or Walmart or other places, Amazon, probably for around $20. You want to make sure that it does measure in grams as well as ounces and that you can go back and forth between those. Very important. And in a later episode, I'll talk about measuring flour and how important that is. Another item that you may not think about is some simple non-slip shelf liner. I keep a couple of these, and when I'm mixing, I often put those under a bowl so that I don't have to hold the bowl, and I can stir and it won't slip around on the counter as well. Also, under my mixer, if you're mixing something, whisking or something at a very high rate of speed, often your stand mixer will kind of shimmy over to the side of your cabinet. You don't want that falling off. So a big piece of the non-slip shelf liner under your mixer will keep it from sliding around as well. The next two items I want to show you come from the same company, which probably is my favorite company ever. It's King Arthur Flour. They truly make the best flour that you can buy on the market. And it's worth every penny when you buy their flour. Also, their website is a treasure trove of recipes. And they have a baker's hotline that you can call for free at any time and get advice on whatever recipe you might be working on. It has gotten me out of a pinch more than once. But the two items I really recommend, you can get them from other places, but I like to support King Arthur Flour. They are a dough scraper, which is very helpful when you're mixing dough to be able to, because it's flexible, to bend it and to get the dough out of the bowl without having to use a spoon or some type of other tool. This is just really helpful for that. Also, when you're cleaning up, I mean, you can obviously cut dough with it, but when you're cleaning up, you can take a plate or even your hand, scrape your excess dough or crumbs or whatever right off your countertop. Makes it so much easier to clean up a mess, and let's admit it, cooking and baking, it makes a mess. The next item from King Arthur Flour that I want to show you is a dough whisk. Many people don't even know what a dough whisk is, but when we're working with dough, whether it be for bread or cakes, muffins, anything like that, it's really easy to overmix whatever it is you're making. Overmixing is often why bread and cookies and brownies and cakes end up looking really dry and tough. Using a dough whisk, it's practically impossible to overstir or overmix that cake or that batter, that bread dough. This is really the secret for me for keeping my cakes light and not super tough. It's worth the money, you'll use it all the time. One other tip, if you do, this wood comes unfinished. So every time I wash it, I just put a little olive oil in my hand and roll it through, and that keeps it from splitting and getting super worn. Super, super important item. I know you've probably seen these in a lot of stores. They're made to put salsa or guac or something like that in. They're plastic. I use them a lot to beat in just an egg if I have one egg or if I'm using an egg wash. But really what I use these for more than anything is to melt butter in the microwave. Put the butter in there, cover it with the paper towel. They don't get super hot, and it's just the perfect size to melt a stick of butter. By far my favorite spice company is Penzi Spices. My spice rack is full of spices from Penzi's, and it's because they're fairly priced, but they're also top quality and very fresh when you get them. Highly recommend the Penzi's. They have storefronts as well as an online store. If you have a store near you, it's worth going to the store to walk around and just to see what they have. If you don't have one nearby, shopping online is very simple. And if you sign up for their email list, you get coupons for lots of good free stuff, and I'm all about free spices. So check them out. 3 spices I want to mention to you California seasoned pepper is one that I use a lot in grits or scrambled eggs in particular. Not only does it have pepper, it has some onions and some garlic in there. It's just a nice house seasoning just to kind of toss in for a little extra something for a lot of dishes. I don't know that we would ever use our air fryer to make French fries without Pimento seasoned salt. It's really flavorful, it's really, really good, and I highly recommend before you air fries, French fries, sprinkle some on and then before and then also after. Or if you're frying your French fries, if you want to do them that way, just sprinkle it on as soon as you take them out of the grease. And this is really good stuff. The other blend that I really like from Pinsy's is Arizona Dreaming. I most often use it in scrambled eggs. It doesn't have any salt in it, just a couple dashes in your scrambled eggs and you will notice the difference. It's fantastic spice. As we move on throughout the other episodes, I'll be sharing some different favorite things, but I wanted to start today with these that I've mentioned to just let you know what some of the things are that I would never want to cook in the kitchen without. It's funny how recipes take on a life of their own. Probably the most requested recipe that I get throughout the years for my pimento cheese that I actually created using a couple different recipes for an event that I was helping cater at one point many years ago. I've never really been a big fan of pimento cheese, which is the irony of it all, although I do like this recipe. So today we're going to make pimento cheese. It's really simple to put together, particularly if you have a stand mixer, but I do it often on the road by hand, and it's super, super easy. It's very simple to put together. All you need to do, you're going to start with 4 ounces of cream cheese. And you're going to put this in your mixer, and then you're going to cream the cream cheese really good. It works best if it's softened. And if you just want to get it really good and creamy, if you don't have a stand mixer, you can actually substitute the whipped cream cheese for that, and it'll work just fine. Then once you put in the cream cheese, then all you're going to do at that point is actually put in the cheese itself. Now, I use 2 cups of mild cheddar and a cup of Monterey Jack. And you're just going to put that in the mixer there. Stop. Got it. The great thing about this recipe at this point, everything else can just kind of go in. So from the cheese, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. Now, depending on how creamy you like your pimento cheese, you may want to add a little bit more mayo. I like mine fairly chunky and not super creamy, so I use about 3/4 cup. We're going to add our spices. It's really simple. We use 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. And then we add our pimentos. And then from there, it's just a matter of turning your mixer on and letting it get all mixed up. It's really that simple. Once it's good and creamy, then you are ready to go. I do think it's better refrigerated, and I do think it's better if you give it an overnight to just kind of let the flavors meld. Now, pimento cheese sandwich is kind of obvious, but 2 things that I've discovered with pimento cheese that I really like. One is a grilled cheese. With just your pimento cheese instead of the regular cheese, it's fantastic. And believe it or not, a dollop on a burger, particularly if you put it on the burger before you take it off the grill and let it melt just a little bit, fantastic cheeseburger. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. It's easy to use. It's easy to serve with crackers as an appetizer or a welcome to a guest who's in your home. And of course, pimento cheese sandwiches, grilled cheeses, and hamburgers, it just can't beat it. It's simple to make. I hope you enjoy it. And I look forward to seeing you next time here at Sacred Plates.